Hey everyone, it's Rose. Welcome back to my channel, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about my June favorites. So I got this idea from Mafalda over at Mafalda is Reading. Every month she talks about her favorite music, movies, TV shows, and books from that month. I know it's kind of in the middle of July right now, but I still wanted to talk about some things. There's not a whole lot on this list of things for me to talk about because I was in the middle of a life slump for the longest time, but even though I was dying inside, I still found things that I loved. But anyways, I'm gonna start doing this for every month just because music and books and sometimes TV, most favorite things in the world. I guess first we'll start with music. Now, if you know me, then you know that I am constantly listening to music or just listening to something. I'm never just alone in the quiet. I don't know what my life would look like if I didn't have music or if I didn't like music. Music is just such a big part of who I am. So none of my favorite artists are coming out with new music right now or at all this year. But I do have songs that I listen to on repeat nonstop 24/7. One of them being Crimson and Clover by Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. I've known about Joan Jett since I was 6, but I've never really listened to any of her music up until recently. Obviously I Love Rock and Roll is the one that got her famous. She was in a band previous to Joan Jett and the Blackhearts and she was pretty popular then, but after she came out with I Love Rock and Roll, that's when her career really took off, right? And so, but that was the only song I had ever heard. But then I started listening to some of her other stuff earlier this year, and Crimson and Clover is my favorite one. Another artist that I've been listening to a lot this year is In This Moment. I've loved In This Moment for quite a while. I had only ever heard a couple songs from them when I was 14. There was really only one song that I liked and I would only listen to that one, but then this year I started listening to some of their other stuff because obviously they have more albums now since I was 14, and it's probably my favorite song now. It probably surpasses that one song that I've loved for 7 years. But it's Half God, Half Devil, and I swear if I had a theme song, this one would be it. One of their newer songs called The In Between, that one is pretty good, and the song mentions 2 other songs that I really like, which is so cool. And their sound is just everything. They're a heavy metal band, so obviously if you don't like heavy metal then you probably won't like it. But another song that I've been listening to a lot is July by Noah Cyrus. In this one she kind of talks about even if we're in a bad situation, we're not gonna try to leave that situation because humans are scared of change, and we're not comfortable knowing that our lives are gonna be different, if good or bad, if we get ourselves out of this situation, which in this case she's singing about I think a toxic relationship. Even though all of these things, I'm still gonna stay with you because I'm afraid of change. Yeah, that song is just really good. So yeah, that's all of the music I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to move on to movies and TV shows, which I don't really watch a whole lot of TV, but when I do, I usually watch things that I've already seen, things that I know that I love. I hardly watch anything new anymore. So I've watched The Holiday, which is my most favorite romance movie, probably 6 times this month because they started playing it every single day on the same channel on TV, and so if it was on and I was bored, I would just put it on. I love this movie. It's about these 2 women who are kind of unlucky in love, and one of them's from LA, one of them is from England, and they meet on a home exchange website, and then they decide to switch houses for 2 weeks over Christmas time to kind of get away from the people that they see all the time. And neither of them expects to find love, but they do. It's just like the best thing to ever happen to me, and yes. Another movie that I watched in June was The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, which I think that title's kind of cringy, but anyways, but so the Conjuring universe, like The Conjuring, Annabelle, everything. It's my favorite horror franchise. And so like when I heard about the movie, I was excited, but then like I watched the trailer and I was like, it just seems kind of cringy and like super predictable and just like cheesy and not scary. But then like a week or so before the movie came out, I saw a different trailer and I was like, hell yes. So I've seen it 3 times since it came out, but like the movie is so good. Like, it's definitely not my favorite. I think the second one is my favorite. The first one is my second favorite. The third one is my least favorite of the Conjuring films. We're not talking about Annabelle right now, which I still love the Annabelle movies, but I'm talking Conjuring. The second one's my favorite. First one is second favorite. Anyways, I think the story was very interesting. It was like based on like an actual case that Ed and Lorraine were a part of. They were trying to prove in court that like this kid was possessed by the devil when he murdered some people, right? It was a different take on how they did the first 2 Conjuring films. Like the first 2, it was like haunted house type of situation, but like in the third one we got to be like in their life, following them around town and everything, and so like I thought that was very cool. And one aspect of the Conjuring films that I love so much is Ed and Lorraine. Like we get little insights to their marriage and like how much they love each other, and like that's just like the best shit ever. Like I cried in the third one because of like just something, like I'm not gonna say what it was because I don't want to spoil it, like, but like it was just so cute. I could not handle myself. I liked that movie more than I was expecting to. Another movie that I watched in June is a documentary. It's called The Wisdom of Trauma. Dr. Gabor, I think that's how you pronounce his name. Mate, I think. Yes, I think that's it. He is a physician and he specializes in childhood trauma, I suppose. And so like he just talks about like when trauma starts and like how we can learn about ourselves studying our trauma. He says that anything that is wrong with us or like things that we do like goes back to our childhood trauma, and trauma doesn't have to be like something as bad as like a mental illness or like being abused physically. He says that trauma starts when a mother or just a parent ignores their child's weeping. It's like a old wives' tale or whatever, that like if your baby's crying, you just gotta let it cry, otherwise like it's gonna get like spoiled and think that you're gonna come every single time it cries. But like he says that we shouldn't do that. But anyways, I was able to figure out like some things about myself after watching this documentary. It's not super personal, so I'll share it with you. Like I have trouble saying how I feel or just like talking about my feelings. And like also at work, if we're in a meeting, I don't participate as much as other people do. Like I'll sit there and listen and like pick up stuff and still benefit from the meeting, but I myself do not like add anything to it. I thought that it was just how I was, right? But then me and my mom were talking about this, and I remember this so vividly because we got it on video. But when I was a kid, my mom was videotaping us. My parents used to videotape us all the time on their camcorder, so we have like a whole bunch of tapes of us when we were kids. But she was videotaping my sister. She was a baby and she was dancing and she wanted to get it on video. and I guess like I wanted to be in the video too, and so I was like trying to get in the video, but obviously my mom wasn't trying to videotape me. She was trying to videotape my sister, and so she kind of like snapped at me and got mad at me, and so like I ran away and cried. So that moment like wired my brain into thinking like this is what happens when you try to put yourself out there, when you try to like participate. So we're not gonna do that, and that makes sense. So yes, I highly recommend this documentary. Like when my mom told me that we were gonna watch it, because a lot of the time when they're like, do you want to watch a movie with us, I'm like, no. But she asked me to watch it with her, and I'm glad that I did, because I learned a lot. And I don't know where you can watch this. I think there's like a website where you can access the, I think it's just a video, but yeah. So moving on to books, I only read one book in June. I didn't like try to read any other books besides this one, and I didn't haul any books in June, so I can't really talk about those either. So I only have one book to talk about, and I've already talked about it a couple times since I've been uploading again, and it's The Invisible Life of Addy LaRue by V.E. Schwab. So this book was kind of outside of my comfort zone, and so I was a little hesitant going into this, but I ended up really, really enjoying it. I'm pretty sure I said that I gave this 4 stars. I read this a couple weeks ago. I said that I didn't know if this one was gonna be like a favorite of mine, but I think it is, now that I've like had time to like sit on it. I really enjoyed the story and like how it all played out. I liked the characters, and yeah, I did not expect to like this book as much as I did, and I actually tabbed a singular page. Okay, so those were all of my June favorites. I actually had more fun than I was anticipating. Like, I definitely can't wait to do it for this month. And so like the day that I'm filming this, it's only July 7th, and I already have like 4 or 5 favorites that I'm gonna talk about in my July favorites video. Anyways, so that is all I have for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you all have a wonderful day. What the freak? Like, this piece of hair is driving me bonkers. Like, through this whole video. Like, just stay. Anyways, I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.